Have you ever lost a pet and thought you'd never love again? Did you find it harder than you expected? If so, you're not alone. Hi, I'm Tami Hendrix. I'm an animal communicator, medium, and healer. Welcome to my channel. I'm glad you're here. Today, I felt guided to share 5 powerful steps or tips to help you emotionally and spiritually heal after losing your best friend. Healing is not easy, and it requires our participation. Healing is, after any loss, is such a personal journey, but when we lose our pets, we often lose a sense of ourself, who we were with them, and who are we now without them. They teach us how to live with them, but they don't teach us how to live without them. There's no one path to healing, no one step to take except the next best step, one courageous step at a time. Ultimately, though, we do take steps. It just may not be in any recognizable order. It may look more like a shuffle. And healing takes time. There are layers and layers of grief that lift in their own good time. As I share, you'll understand that each area is not a once and done. You may revisit them several times. Luckily, our pets in spirit are with us every step of the way. Before we get started, I want to share something really important, something you need to know. Each one of us has the potential to heal from any situation, any challenge, any circumstance, no matter what. All events, all circumstances are doorways to healing. Pet loss is one such doorway. How do I know? Direct life experience with loss of both animal and human. Much of my life path has been about loss, and I've had to learn about myself, learn about how I grieve, how loss shows up in my life. And the first thing I found out was that the first healing step in our journey begins in the darkness of loss. So if your heart is broken open, it actually expands more rather than contracts. It has the potential to love even more. Although at the time we lose our pets, it surely doesn't feel that way. The loss and the broken open space give us the opportunity to lean into our intuition, lean into the silence, lean into our heart space, and open up our compassion for ourselves and for others. So what can you do to start to heal? Healing step number 1, be with your experience. Be present with your experience. I have clients who share how much they deeply love their animals and how much it has affected them, and yet they have people in their lives that don't want to hear about it. They just don't believe in that, so they hide their feelings. They're afraid to show how much their pet meant to them. And if the loss is so painful and so great, the tendency might be to push it away or move away from it, because the emotions that come are like an avalanche. We can hit the emotional eject button really quickly. Have any of you done that? Most of us have busy lives, so it can be easy to distract ourselves, to get really busy. We'll deal with things later, we tell ourselves. It's sort of a disconnect. It's a coping mechanism. And we distract ourselves so much that we don't have to feel. We just get back to business. Or we decide we're just not going to think about it. We deliberately check out and do so because we can't look and feel. I know I've done that. I don't know that I consciously knew I was doing that, but it's like you're going through the motions, you're moving through life, nobody's home, spirit has vacated the premises. Most of us, and I'm included in this, we're taught earlier in life how to be present with loss and death, and certainly not losing our beloved pets. We just don't know how to honor our feelings and be where we are. And if you're currently experiencing grief and loss, don't judge yourself or blame yourself. Be where you are and let whatever emotions are there come forward. They're trying to flow through. Don't bottle them up. Don't censor yourself. Because when that hits, it is literally trying to release. And don't put it in your emotional storage vault, where we kind of hide things, where we put those emotions away. Maybe we'll deal with them later. Here are a few questions to ask yourself that kind of get things going. They'll gently untangle any emotional knots you may have around being present with loss. Ask yourself, what does being with the experience of losing my pet look like for me? How does it feel for me? What emotions keep coming up in you? Are they new ones you had never felt before, or are they old ones? Those will feel more familiar. Do I tend to shy away from my emotions? Do I push them away, or do I embrace them? Where do I store my emotions? Do I have an emotional vault? When we are honest with ourselves and tune into our experience without judging it, stuck heart energy can start flowing again and gently release. So healing step number 2, tell your story. What happened? We all have our stories about what has happened to us, the events, the narratives that help us make sense of what's going on. Our stories of grief and loss and difficult challenges actually reveal our deepest hurts and longings. Telling our story about our pets is one of the key components to healing pet loss, because what you're going to find is the story is also about you as well. Our stories contain our version, our beliefs, our conclusion, and it's loaded with emotions. So we have stories about how they came to us, what they meant to us, some funny things they did, and how they passed. The beginning, the middle, the end. Any good story has that, right? So we often get stuck in the end part, and that deserves a whole chapter to itself, because it's usually where we get stuck the most. It's usually where we argue with what has happened. We just don't get it. When clients come to me, they usually have a challenge that's related to the story, and it usually comes at the very end of the narrative. Something like, and because of this, I can't forgive myself, or I don't know how to live without them, or it's all my fault. Once we compassionately witness whatever our feelings and honor where we are in the narrative, it's an interesting thing, because our energy can shift a little bit, and it offers the potential to maybe see a different perspective of the situation. Sometimes we even get a glimpse of the gifts that are in the challenge, but that usually comes later. Believe it or not, our stories and how they happen and what we tell hold the healing gems. They're pointers to what we need to heal in ourselves. So journaling, I've got some suggestions. Write your story. Tell me everything. Write it all down. What happened, your interpretation, everything that you want to include about how you're feeling, all the details, how it's affected your life, and what your struggles are now. You can either write it in a journal, you could record it on your phone. Just make sure you include all the emotional pieces that you're feeling, everything that you can think of in the moment. And once you're finished, pay attention to what emotions are present, all the different emotional heart shapes that have shown up. Broken heart, fragile heart, perhaps you have an angry heart. Those emotional heart shapes tell a story about you and about what needs to be healed. Healing step number 3, honor your emotions. I'll say it again. Our stories of what happened contain the healing gems, the pointers to what we need to move forward and heal in ourselves. The key is in the self-reflection part. The stories we tell contain beliefs about ourselves in life, our emotions about it, and what conclusions we have come to. So take inventory of your point of view in the story. Do you notice any themes with other things that have happened in your life? Perhaps you've experienced some of them before. Maybe there's a common theme of regret, or maybe you feel like a victim, victimized by circumstances and what happened. Is there an angry theme, a hurt theme, a blameful theme? One time I was really, really upset about a dog who had passed. She passed suddenly the day after Christmas. I just couldn't get over what had happened, and oh my gosh, I blamed myself entirely. A couple of weeks later, I was still so very upset and happened to be talking to a friend and telling her the story of what happened and everything. And she listened, to me. She was quite quiet. And after I had finished my story, she said, "Well, you've told me about what happened to her. Where were you in the story? What was Tami doing?" Well, I hadn't thought about that piece. It caused me to pause a minute, actually, and what was I doing? And as if watching a play, I saw the character called Tami compassionately tending to the animal, giving her soft blankets, saying soothing things, and cradling her as she passed. I saw a compassionate, loving, caring, attentive person who was doing all she could in the moment to help the animal. Well, for the first time in the experience, it dawned on me that, my version of the story maybe wasn't the complete version. The blame that I had put on myself was very narrow-sighted. I had left myself out of the narrative entirely, even. The truth was, I wasn't there to prevent the episode from happening, but I was there in time to see her out, for which I was very grateful. That allowed me to forgive myself, and I noticed a theme in not being able to save her. It was a theme that I had held for a while, especially as it related to my human family. I couldn't save them either, even though a part of me believed that maybe I should have been able to, and I was doing the same thing with this situation. So what's your biggest challenge at the moment? Your story will reveal that. And that's the edge of the transformation that your pet is trying to help you with. But you have to be willing to look into rather than simply at life. Everything is connected. There is no random moment out of order, even though it can really seem that way. And our pets are always guiding us to seeing the bigger picture in life, the higher perspective. If you use the story to help you understand on a deeper level, rather than judging it as an event that was wrong and it ruined your life, you'll be able to receive the gifts being offered. Healing involves a shift in perspective. Healing step number 4. Write your pet a letter. This is one of my favorite ways to work with pet loss. And I've done it many times myself, because when we lose our pets, we feel so disconnected and like we've lost them forever. So I want to tell you how to do that, because it's something you can do at any time even. So what you want to do is get a quiet place where you're not going to be disturbed, light a candle if you need to, set the tone so that you're comfortable. Get some Kleenex because you're probably going to cry. Start your letter out with, because you're really wanting to talk to your pet. Dear, name your pet. I love you and I want you to know. And then start talking. Let your heart say what it needs to say. If you need to say, I love you and I want you to know how sorry I am that I was not there to stop what happened. I feel so terrible and I have loved you so much and this is not the way I wanted it to end, or whatever comes. Let your heart do the talking. It will. It will. And you'll notice that the energy will pick up in that you'll start having more things you want to say and more things. And you might even feel your pet right there along with you. I'm going to say you will. In your heart, you're going to notice your pet's essence and energy right there. And then as you wind down, you're going to notice that the energy from all this pouring out, all this sharing actually comes to kind of a close. And you're going to feel the energy drop a little bit. And then you might feel complete. You said enough. You've said all you needed to, and that you're done. I would leave it and not read it. If you could read it the next day, but just give yourself a rest with it. The next day, you may want to take a look at it. You may feel you want to add some more. Just go with whatever you feel. Then when you're ready, and I say when you're ready for this reason, healing step number 5, let your pet write you a letter. I know it sounds far-fetched, and your mind may you may roll your eyes and say, oh, right. Trust me on this one. You've already created the energy from telling your story and honoring your emotions, being with your experience. You've already written your pet a letter. This next piece is one of really powerful healing tools because it's a good way to connect to the energy of your pet in spirit. It's animal communication. You know how to write a letter. Your mind is going to say, oh, we got this. We wrote thank you letters as a kid. We can do this. Then just start writing. And you might want to start with, Dear Mom, I love you and I want you to know. And then tune into your heart and see what your pet wants to say to you. Listen, because you're going to find your pet talking in ways that may surprise you. Things may come through that you haven't even thought about, haven't even realized. I know when I stumbled on this, because I was grieving the loss of the particular dog I told you about. I couldn't connect with her. And then finally in exasperation, one day I just sat down and wrote her a letter and told her how I felt and just poured my heart out. And I felt better afterwards. And then a day or two later, I'm vacuuming and all of a sudden I feel this urge that another letter is coming. Only the letter is from her to me. So I sat down and, Dear Mom, I love you and I want you to know, and just let it come. And I didn't judge what was coming. I didn't have my mind saying, oh, this is stupid. It's okay if you do. Just tell your mind to chill out. It's fine. We're going to do this. I'm thinking back to that and I was stunned at what came through. I was surprised at her perspective. She had her own perspective of how everything went down, and she apologized for putting things in motion that caused so much grief. And at the same time, she wasn't that apologetic over what she said she chose. That was a total surprise to me. But it helped me understand that I had completely hijacked the whole story as if it was all about me, which is what we tend to do when we have our experiences and we have our versions, but our pets are really good about helping us gently unlock our heart guard and our closed parts to see what it is we need to see. I know I have used every one of these steps at various times. There are my go-tos. There are many more that I work with people in sessions and we get under the layers. But doing these on your own is really a powerful healing tool for any type of loss. but especially pet loss when we don't feel like we can really talk to them again. But I'm telling you, you can. And if you go through these steps, and even if you skip around some of the steps, it's fine. We may shuffle around a little bit. You're going to feel more peace in your heart. You're going to have more understanding of the situation and the transformation that comes with that. And healing is transformation. All of these will help loosen up that stuck energy, allow you to process more fully in a kinder, gentler way. Healing occurs over time and has many, many layers. How you heal is your unique way because, after all, your relationship with your pet is sacred and personal to you. I hope you've gotten some healing tips today and healing vibes, ones that you can immediately put to use. If so, like this video and please subscribe to my channel. And for a limited time, I want to share a special offer to my YouTube viewers, a special discount on one-to-one readings if you book by December 8th. Descriptions and the links are in the comments. So next week, I'll be back to share more messages from the animals. Hope to see you then.